Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ohan here, and it's Friday, and we're talking about safe spaces. I wasn't going to make a video this week. I've just been slammed with work. I'm at work right now. I'm standing in the corner of an edit room, but gotta do what you gotta do to challenge the haters, which very clearly this topic has brought out a handful, as sometimes they do. Finn noted this in his video, and I looked at the comments on Trenton's and Spencer's videos, and what just I don't have words. If you're gonna go by mathematical statistics, there are more cis people in the world than trans, and there are more straight people in the world than queer. And so it is nice when you are a minority, whether it be your gender, your sexuality, your race, there are POC spaces only, whatever it is, where it's only for a certain type of people who have disabilities, you feel understood, you feel gotten, you feel safe in that space. Okay? Like, example, I've had cis straight people say things to me who, in their mind, they think they're being supportive. They know I'm trans and they think they're being supportive. And in my mind, I'm like, you're being an asshole. So, for example, people who are like, oh, like, well, for a trans guy, you look great. And in their mind, they're thinking, I'm giving this person a compliment. And in my mind, they're saying, oh, I expected trans people and trans men to actually be really freaky and weird looking, and you kind of just look like a normal person. That's what I hear in my head. And so that's why the difference between being in a safe space and as opposed to just a space in the world, it's more likely that you will feel like you don't need to hide part of yourself, or that you're not this target for constant ridicule or just general bad treatment. Of course, you can't control what people say, and you can't control people's behavior, and you can do the very best that you can to outline rules and policies, I guess, that regulate what's going on in a space. And you're gonna have somebody who doesn't do that, or you're gonna have somebody who kind of ruins it, maybe. That's the risk you take anytime you go out, right? It's not just safe spaces, it's just spaces in the world. There are some people who just suck, and they exist, and they attend things, sometimes the same things you attend. That's just life. But what we're trying to do is minimize that, and also make it known, especially to queer youth who don't have as many options. Think about it. If you're living in a place like where I lived, I grew up in the suburbs, I needed my parents to drive me everywhere. There's no public transportation. So I would have to, have them know where I'm going, and then have to explain to them what it was. And it's just a production. It's like we need spaces that are just inclusive, and especially at schools, things where parents don't necessarily need to be involved. Not that it's like you need to hide things from your parents, but it's like you can't really tell your parents what's going on until you know what's going on. So things that can help kids, youth, figure out what the F is going on in their lives, in their heads, and then take it home, and then take it to their friends, and then take it to their peers who hopefully will receive it well. I mean, it just seems so stupidly obvious to me. I'm like getting really angry. Why is there so much hate going around this week? Like, sometimes I'm in queer spaces and I'm uncomfortable. I think people are really kind of unwelcoming. And then sometimes I'm in just literally a place in the world where it's not specific to queer and trans people, and I feel safer there. So like it's not always a guarantee of feeling at home among your people. It's more of just an indication that it's okay to be here, and you don't have to expect to have your guard up like you may have everywhere else that you go. That's really all it is, for crying out loud. I will talk about some of the safe spaces that I found were helpful when I was under the age of 21, because that is the age to drink in the United States. I will preface this also with, I went to school near New York City, and I live in New York City, and so if we're talking about areas of the world where there are things going on for everybody, this is the place to be. And so I'm really, really fortunate in a way that the queer population and the trans population is fairly large where I am. So that's really good. But some things that I have going on here, maybe if they don't exist where you are, it could be something that you might want to start where you are. For example, there was the first thing I did when I got here when I wasn't 21 and I didn't want to drink, but I wanted to meet queer people. I literally just researched like under 21 places to go, blah, 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 blah. And I found this bookstore called Blue Stockings Bookstore in New York City. And it's, I've talked about it before on this channel, but it's a radical anarchist bookstore. And there are collective members, and some of those collective members are straight, some of those collective members are cis, and some of those collective members are not and identify at various points on the LGBT spectrum. Um, so there we go. What a beautiful, inclusive space where people are extremely mindful of other people's um, gender, sexualities, races, cultures, abilities, and size. I found really a home at this place. I met some really good, lovely friends there that I'm still in touch with. Of course, not as much as I'd like to be, because life, but they've all gone different ways. But at this point, but we still keep in touch, and they're some of the most beautiful people I know. That was one thing I did. Another thing, I've been actually looking into things now because I feel like all I do is spend time at work. Here I am. And I've been looking for things to meet other queer people. And so, one thing I go with my parents. Sometimes I go to PFLAG meetings, and it's meetings for parents with trans children or any relative. It doesn't have to be a parent, it could be any kind of anybody that is close to you that you feel would benefit from going to this meeting. And so I go with them sometimes, and I've met some cool people there. I go occasionally. I mean, like, I don't do any of this now because I work literally when anything happens because of the hours that I work. So I don't go to anything now, but like if I do have the free time and get the chance and things I've done in the past, that's what I'm talking about. So I've gone to groups at the Brooklyn Community Pride Center. It's a transgender, gender nonconforming group where you just sit in a circle of people who identify as trans or gender nonconforming or questioning and talk about things that are bothering you in life. And it is seriously some of the most healing, powerful conversations I've had. I met two great friends there. I was really scared to go, and some friends from school went with me, and one of those people identifies as a cis male, and one of those people identifies as a cis straight woman. So, and the group did not say you need to leave this group. They were there supporting me, and that was okay. And I think that's literally the point of these spaces, is that the whole point is just to make everybody feel safe, and like having my friends there made me feel more safe. And then so the group was like, cool, then let's do that. Like there's the goal is to make everybody comfortable, and so the goal is not to have this secret society of people who only identify this one way, which by the way does not mean that just because, okay, one of my biggest like the thing that annoys me most about LGBT groups at schools or something is like they're just like, oh, put a bunch of gay kids in a room and then they'll all have things to talk about. That's just one aspect of who you are. Like trans is one aspect of who you are. Gay is one aspect of who you are. It does not mean you're automatically going to get on with everybody else in this room based on that thing, which is why I was researching things like bookstores, because it's like I'm a queer and trans person who also really likes reading, and all these other people really like reading and really care about, you know, basically activism. So it was like more than just queer and trans that brought me to this place. So another thing I was looking at was there's these free bike repair classes, learn how to fix your bicycle, and there is a session that is for women and trans people only. And I had emailed the person who runs this group, and I was like, I just want to be sure that it's for trans people and not women and trans women, because I don't want to show up to the space and make people uncomfortable. So that's another thing you can do, is like check in, like just because it says it includes a certain whatever identity of people, and if you're interested in the thing and you reach out to the person moderating the thing, what am I saying? Whatever, just ask if it's okay to be there. Like that's a courteous thing to do, you know, and like not make people uncomfortable. So I did that, and I haven't gone yet because you know what I'm gonna say, work all the time. The whole reason that that safe space appeals to me, like making it for women and trans people, is because bike mechanic classes are generally a more masculine, stereotypical, fix shit type, whatever stereotypes. Women don't fix things, men fix things. This is a bike. This is a class about fixing bikes, and we're making it safe for people who um, don't know about this thing and weren't socialized to think they should know about this thing. And so I found that to be a really, really awesome thing, and I'm really excited to go because I haven't gone yet. The other thing I went to a few weekends, but the other weekends I couldn't go anyway, not the point, was a self-defense class for women and trans people. Obviously, when when you belong to a group where you know that there's a good chance that people might get physically violent to you, a lot of these people have been assaulted, whether it's physically, sexually. Trigger warning, I guess, everybody, about that. I mean, obviously I'm not like talking about it in depth, but and anyway, I already mentioned it, so I don't know what that trigger warning is going to do anyway. Basically, people who have faced perhaps similar things to you, and can understand your perspective and can understand why you would want it to be kind of a closed space. And like in the beginning of the class, we all went over the safe space policy, and they actually called it a safer space as opposed to a safe space. So you might hear that differentiation, and that just means that, like somebody said, I don't even remember who at this point, my brain, but like you can't control what everybody says, and so like there might be mistakes said, there might be things that just come out that you didn't mean to say, or just maybe you misgender somebody accidentally. Like that's what they mean by safe earth space. Like there is no ideal, but we're doing the best we can to make everybody feel okay and make everybody feel like they belong and deserve to be here. That's what I think a safe space is. It's not an exclusionary thing. It's not a we're better than you can't come in type thing. It's like it's more of like, oh hey, we know what it's like to feel really fucking terrible surrounded by people who don't understand us, and so we're going to create a space where people feel like they can come as themselves, bring their whole selves. They're not afraid to use their voice. They're not going to be afraid to be seen as who they are, and whatever that your gender identity, sexuality, however you identify, that's not the point as much as it is of being respectful to one another and being aware and educated about certain things. So it's not so much about this cis, trans, or gay, straight kind of differentiation or binary, or it includes this people and it doesn't include these people. It's really just it includes people who are, I guess, wanting to create and foster a space of comfort and support and respect. And I think that comes first before anything else. That comes first before, categorizing things based on gender or sexuality. But like I said, safe spaces are great for any minority of people. And, I feel like it's really interesting because, like, I really like hanging out with Armenian people because it's like, whatever, it's like the inside jokes of Armenian families and culture and all these things. But at times, like, they'll say things that maybe they don't even realize are kind of queer phobic or transphobic or whatever. And then, like, I'll hang out with just queer people, and like they might say something that's kind of culturally unaware, like they're very unaware culturally of things, and kind of just assume that they're among only white people. And so like these things come up in various groups of people, so no space is going to be perfect, but it's just like trying to find those places where at the very least whatever's going on can just resonate with a part of you, and you can feel like you fucking deserve to be there, because I think that's how a lot of trans people feel in the world. We're not even allowed to be here. And that's an internalized thing as well. It's not something that people are necessarily putting on us, but some people do. And it's like that's why these places need to exist, just where somebody knows that they're not gonna have a hard time because it's fucking hard enough, Okay, end of my long-winded response to a lot of things, the topic and people hating on the topic. And I hope that made sense. It was a lot, and there's still so much more to say, but I gotta go. Anyway, that's my opinion about safe spaces. Come at me. I took a self defense class though. Just saying. Just saying. I'm gonna go catch my breath because I just got really worked up about everything. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.